We are stoked to have Adam Elizarraraz and Cam Pablo on today's show. They are the guitarists and riff machines of one of our favorite bands, Gable Price and Friends.
That's right. And if you guys have any questions that you would like us to ask our future guest, let us know by sending us a message. We want to make this show more engaging for you.
Fit, power your lips, sneak a kiss, shake your hips, frosted tips, middle kiss. I don't wanna live like this. I broke my wrist, punching through a wall in the parsonage. The congregation can see me crying. I've got
Thanks so much, guys, for taking the time to join us, hang out. We are both huge fans of you guys, of the band, Gable Price and Friends, and just kind of the sound you guys have created. So we just, to kind of kick things off, obviously this is a guitar podcast. So what was both of your, first exposure to the guitar and music?
Take this
one.
Go
first? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can go first.
Yeah, go first.
So music has been around my house growing up. I mean, my dad played guitar. Still does. He's more playing bass now, but growing up, there's always mostly acoustic guitars lying around. So, yeah, the first song I learned was More Than Words by Extreme, and then typically Stairway to Heaven. I don't know, like one of those, old 90s, 80s songs. But guitar-wise, I didn't get really serious until I was around 11 years old. I mean, I was dabbling when I was 8, but I was kind of like in a cross between playing drums, playing piano, key stuff, and then I fell in love with guitar at like 11. So, I was playing basketball at the time too. I was in like a kids league, but I just remember every time I got home from basketball, like practice or a game, I would just go to the basement and play guitar. So, but yeah, basically my dad kind of just taught me guitar. I've never had a proper lesson with a teacher. And yeah, my dad just showed me chords and I kind of just figured it out. And thank God for YouTube, because probably 70-80% of my playing is from like learning on YouTube. So or just like watching other guitar players. Yeah. So, that's kind of my history with guitar. So yeah, it started with acoustic more, and then I was just like, oh, what's a delay pedal? What's reverb? I didn't know like you could make your guitar sound like this, anything. So yeah,
biggest mistake.
11 years old. Yeah. A lot of money
What's
lost.
Delay? What's reverb? never going back.
Yeah.
How about you, Adam?
So my family is not musical whatsoever. So I'm the only one in my family that plays music. And the only reason I do is because I took a guitar class in like my freshman year of high school. As like an elective. I just needed to take something. And I hated it. And I did not have a good time. And my fingers hurt. And I don't know. It just wasn't something that I thought I could do. And then I just kind of, did you guys hear that? I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Let me put on Do Not Disturb.
Okay.
Somehow. This is not my computer.
That's okay. This is all editable.
Forget it.
No, you're good.
Edit that out. So yeah, I took a guitar class in high school, and I hated it. And I just kept going at it because my parents were like, "You can't drop out. Like your grades are bad enough." And so I just kept going. And then like somehow I just was improving faster than all of my other peers. And so just kind of kept going at it, and then started playing at my local church. And I started to actually like playing guitar. And so a lot of it was self-taught after that 1 year of like lessons. But it was like a love-hate relationship at the start for me, just because I didn't really want to necessarily. But I just kept going at it because I was good for my skill level. And then I developed like a passion for it once I was like, oh, this is something that like, that I can be good at and that I enjoy the better I get at it. So yeah. That was like, I was like 13, 14. Yeah.
So how did you guys all meet as a band? What was that like?
We did a ministry school here in Reading, and we sort of started playing music together. Like we had teams for the school, like playing kind of just worship music. And yeah, there was like 4 teams, and yeah, I mean that's how we all met. But the band started. I wasn't originally in the band at first. Like within like the first year, I was just kind of the live guy. So it was Adam or Daniel and Gable. So they started the EP, which is the Dead Man EP.
Mhm.
They started that in like the first year of school, maybe, right, Adam?
2018,
Yeah.
if I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
mistaken.
20, I think we started on it in 2017. It didn't come out until like 2018. The end
Yeah.
of the year.
But yeah, the boys made the EP in Sacramento, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I sort of got pulled along as like a live guitar player, just because there's already a lot of guitar parts. So yeah, I got pulled in, and yeah, we had our first show was in the backyard, and it was awesome. Yeah, but
That's
basically,
awesome.
school is how we met, and yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we all met because we were all in the same class, and we weren't friends all together, but like I was friends with Gable separately. Cam was friends with Gable separately. Dan was friends with Gable separately, but like we didn't like all hang out. Like we didn't really know each other. I didn't know Cam super well. I didn't know Dan very well. So it kind of like, he was like assembling a team, really like the Avengers. So
Yeah.
in
It
a
makes
way,
sense why the name is Gable Price and Friends then.
yeah. I originally was supposed to be like a solo project because Gable was going to move back home from California after that year. And we were like, let's just make something that you can take home with you, and kind of work with whoever you want.
Yeah.
But then we decided that we're going to be a band, and the name kind of stuck. It was too late to change it by the time,
Yeah.
by the point we decided it was too late. So
Gable was so committed on moving back to Cincinnati, and then next thing you know, I see him in Reading. I'm like, dude, all right.
You're like, what
Yeah,
happened?
so I guess the band stuck, and here we are now.
Yeah. So what were those like early shows like? I mean, you said he would come to you and ask you to fill in Cam. Were they just pretty low key, or were they, in the student body, or like how was that growing for you guys as a band?
The town of Reading that we currently live in, well, Adam and I now currently live in, is so small where everyone can hear any event like going on. Like we can put a poster on our local coffee shop, and everyone in Reading, not everyone, that's earnest, but a lot of people can see it. But since we're in school, everyone kind of knows each other. If they don't, like, we know each other's faces, and everyone just knows each other. So the word gets around, and the early shows, I mean, it was 4 of us. Well, 5. We actually had another member named Dave. He played bass, and the first show was a different bass player, actually. His name's Pablo. Yeah, good old Pablo. I'm playing with him tonight, which is funny. Speaking of him, but the early shows were fun, man. I mean, it was a humbling experience, and I mean, we're still getting humbled today. Like we will still play crazy dive bars. Like we're not playing the O2 in London or anything like that, dude. But they were fun. I mean, it was just a thing where everyone was friends at our shows in Reading, like growing up, and it wasn't. Yeah, we were promoting our music, but at the same time, we were just having fun with our friends.
Mhm.
And we haven't done a Reading show in a long time, but yeah, I mean, since now Gable left Reading, I don't think we can unless there's a tour date specifically for it. But like I'm talking about like just a hey, we're going to do a show in the backyard. Like those days are probably gone. So, but they were fun, man. I mean, I miss it, and it's just always fun making music with friends and playing for friends. So, yeah.
Yeah. Something I love about your guys' music that draws me to it is that it's almost like a post-punk CCM mesh, and you guys, your guitar tones really are out forward in the mix. And they kind of are this nice mesh of a driven guitar, but then also I don't know if it's both of you or one of you has a lot of wet tones, a lot of reverb and delay. How do you guys both kind of feed that sound? Does one of you, do you guys like trade those different tonalities depending on the song, or how do you guys work dynamically together to fill out those songs?
Do you want this?
Yeah, sure,
or we can both. We can both try.
We can both.
Yeah.
I can start. It's like I don't know. I think we kind of take it like song by song. There's like some people will ask like, like, are you the rhythm or lead guitar? It's like, well, it's just guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever plays the part. So, I think lately, honestly, I feel like to answer your question about like tones, like how do we like decide who's doing what? We kind of just go off instinct and it just kind of works. Like we'll like divide, like say someone plays a part on the record, we'll be like, do you want to play this live? And then we'll try to match that tone as best we can. But lately, Cam and I feel like I've been listening to like mixes back of shows, and I like I'm starting to notice things that like don't really mesh together super well, just because like we're going off of excitement or instinct or whatever when it comes to like choosing a tone. So I feel like lately we've been trying to hone that more of like, if we're both driving too hard, then it's just like too much,
Mm-hmm.
So I think Cam and I growing up, like we grew up playing guitar in church, and usually there's two guitar players.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that kind of came easy to us to like learn how to play together well and not, step on each other's toes. And yeah, it really is like, is that, and like in the studio, we try to be very intentional about guitar parts and like what goes in and what doesn't. And so we live normally we'll stick to what's on the record. So we won't stray too far from that guitar wise.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question. I kind of just
Yeah, definitely. Yep. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to kind of add on to that, you both layer those effects so well. I mean, and I'm talking about the recordings, and I've heard the live stuff. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to see you guys live, but as far as that goes, do you have any effects that either of you just leave on all the time? I mean, I know a lot of guys, they'll just always have a slapback delay on or a little bit of reverb on. Is there something that that's your go-to pedal? It's always on your board.
I mean, luckily, yeah. I mean, usually I have, at least recently, as of this or late last year, I got like this API compressor thing, but I use it really lightly. I'll only like crank compression when I play slide, but that's usually always on. It's great. It's transparent. Like you don't really hear it. You just more so feel it. And then I'll always have a delay and reverb on. Just the typical timeline mix guy kind of stuff. But at least with the band, when it comes to like big sky stuff, it's pretty dialed back, and I don't want to be in that cloud verb world. It's kind of, my ear is kind of tired of hearing it now. But so I'm just using like a basic room or plate verb. It just sounds like reverb. That's it. And then, yeah, those are the pedals I have on all the time. And then all my drives are kind of just like, depending what part of the song I'm in or whatever.
Yeah.
Adam?
I guess tuner, to be that guy. But it is always on. Some people have it where you turn it on and it bypasses, and some people don't.
Yeah.
So I like to know if I'm in tune, if I'm in tune all the time. So, but I normally do run a compressor. I had a tone press for a long time that was always on. Just, it wasn't really doing much compression. It was, if anything, just giving me a little boost at the front of the chain. But I took that off, and I haven't been using a compressor lately, and it's been fun. I just kind of rolling with it. But I not always on, but I typically use too much vibrato or chorus. That's kind of like a staple of mine, especially like in the early songs and such. That kind of, I feel like that kind of gets associated with our music, is like the vibrato tones. And a lot of that was from a Walrus Julia back in the day. And then lately I've been using an artificial blonde from JHS, which I'm really digging. And so that is like a staple of mine, I guess. Not always on, but a lot of the parts have that kind of vibe to it.
I guess the Julia was really like the sound at first.
It really was, yeah.
You put vibrato on anything, it just sounds awesome. Like every part. So
that's a lot of the Fraction Heart album was just the Julia. And then I use a tape. I have a Strymon Volante that's always on, just by different presets, but at its minimum, it's like a very short slapback, kind of almost like nothing's there, but a little bit. And then like a spring or a small plate reverb, and then I'll change those depending on the song. But those are always on typically. Yeah.
Nice.
Have you guys experimented a lot? I mean, I know, trying to find video of you in your earlier days to now, I've seen kind of your guitar choices change a little bit, but I mean, I think Adam, like I've seen you kind of settle on that Firebird style, and then Cam, you kind of lean more towards like a Telecaster. I think did I see you with like a Jaguar at one point in time, or am I wrong?
It was a Jazzmaster. That's actually Gables. Okay. Yeah. That was Gables. It has Curtis Lambertone's pickups in it. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So how long was it kind of like a process where you were picking up different guitars here or there and until you settled on kind of one that just spoke to you?
Yeah, I mean, right now, at least for the band, I use this Elliott Royal Haven right now. It's so beat up right now. And I either cross between like Telly that I have it was like my first guitar I ever bought with my own money that I still use to this day. And then a Strat. And then I have a baritone as well that I use for like part of the album, or I played a baritone for the album. But yeah, I mean, I haven't gone through like a ton of guitars. I kind of just like, my dad just hates it when he's like, Cam, why are you selling another guitar? Like, I thought you loved this thing. I was like, I do. I just like, being an adult is hard, man. No, I mean, I kind of settled on what I have now. It's kind of great. Yeah. I mean, most of my pickups right now, at least in 3 of the guitars, are from Lambertones, and they sound great. I'm not putting in a plug right now, but
no,
I'm just saying, like,
plug away.
Plug away, Curtis. If you're watching this, love you. But yeah, at least mostly right now for the band, it's kind of just, I have this Elliott, and I still like will play it for other things as well. But at least in the studio, I'll be I'm looking at them right now. So it depends on the song and what the guitar vibe is. But live right now, in the past, I've had a Veritas Portlander, got rid of that. And then I can't even remember. I had a Reverend at one point, which was a great guitar, honestly. I said I got rid of that. But yeah, I kind of go through like guitars, but not like quickly. Just it's like every 2 years. I don't know. So
the Elliott, that's kind of I think I saw it's the double cutaway, kind of almost looks like a double cutaway Les Paul Jr. Yeah.
Yeah. Adam had one as well. They're great guitars.
Yeah. I kind of settled on the Firebird as my main. It's made by this guy named Drew Walsh. He has a really cool company. He makes a lot of like kind of Soviet era, like 70s type guitars. A lot of his designs are original designs like that. But he made me a Firebird, and it's really good. I like it. I love mini humbuckers. I feel like those are my favorite pickups. I have that, and then an SG. It's like a 61 standard reissue. Awesome. With like the vibrola. But I took it off because it kept swinging around and bothered me. But those are my two mains. And sometimes I'll borrow guitars. But yeah, pretty much that. I am missing some single coils in my life. I do wish I had like a Tele or something like that. But yeah, I'm mainly a humbucker.
Yeah.
Gibson style kind of guy. That's what I've settled on lately.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I think I saw a video where you were talking, you had Lambertones in that Walsh Firebird.
I do not. No,
you do not. Oh, okay.
I was borrowing for a while, Gable's Tele that has Lambertones in it.
Okay.
The Blondies.
Okay.
But I had to give it back because he moved. So
I still have one of his old guitars with me. He just forgot. I
shouldn't have said it.
I forgot to say something, but it's at my house. It's a really bad guitar. So I'm looking at it.
It's out there now.
Yeah. Do you remember?
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is at my house right now. Yeah, this was built by our friend Tony via in Reading, but it's awesome. I don't know what the parts are, but I can just tell I don't want to diss Tony, so I'm trying to be careful on what I say.
It's not. Are you a Strat guy, Cam?
Do
you like Strats at all?
I like Strats. I'm a big humbucker guy as well, but
you've been using that Strat a lot lately.
What's that?
You've been using that Strat a lot.
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, a lot
not
of
that one, but the other one.
The black one. The black one. Yeah. I mean, it kind of just like I grew up on just a lot of Fender stuff, and that's what feels like at home with my hands. But I still rock with humbuckers. It's great. I mean, my Ellie has kind of like Gretsch style pickups in it right now, but yeah. I mean, most of the time, crossing between humbuckers, but more so on the single coil kind of world. So, yeah.
Nice. Adam, I've seen in some of your YouTube videos that you've been part of that you use the HX Stomp along with a set of pedals. How does that complement everything that you're trying to accomplish with your tone? Is it the amp effects, or is it some of those other wet tones that you're looking for? Maybe a combination of both.
No, so I can't talk. The Stomp, the HX Stomp. It's a recent thing. This last year we toured a lot, and I was doing where I would bring my Benson Chimera as like a real amp on stage, because it's cool and it sounds good. And, our shows are very, rocking. So they're loud and, just needed that amp vibe. So I've been doing that paired with like an amp sim. So last year I was using a Dream, from Universal Audio, and just, it's not really doing much on stage really, but like it's for really myself, like in my in-ears, just giving me that stereo spread just because it feels good, it sounds good. So I've been doing that lately. Probably will keep doing that just because, the venues we play don't really allow for like a full stereo rig. Um, so yeah, I've been doing one amp sim and one real amp, and sometimes it will be a stomp. Like right now I'm using a stomp. And I have the tone factor, IRs and stuff for that. And it sounds really good. I really am enjoying it.
Awesome.
So, but those are basically, it's for my amps, not, I don't really use the effects. Maybe like a compressor on it, but yeah, it's mainly just amps.
Yeah, and all your wet tones are separate pedals like the Julia and whatever else you
Yeah,
mentioned. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, awesome. Oh, that's good. How about you, Cam? As far as amplification, what do you enjoy using?
At least last year, like the touring cycle, it was very similar to Adam. At first, like first half of the year was fully DI from the ACS1, and then later down the road, I switched to the kind of the amp and then DI kind of combination. But yeah, it's the stereo thing where it's more so for our ears, for the venues, or at least our front of house guy will usually just like not fully hard pan us, but you can just tell it's left and right. But for our ears, it just feels better and we can hear ourselves better. But yeah, I mean, I actually used to hate the ACS one, man, until like they updated it with like a 2.0 firmware or 3, and it just like reduced the noise floor and adjusted like the compression and then more gain. And then I like throwing on tone factors IRs, I was just like, oh, this thing actually sounds great now. I used to just like fight with it so much, but yeah, now I could fully use it by itself and I'm happy. But yeah, near the end of the touring cycle last year, I had my just Fender Pro Sonic that was modded by some guru in Michigan, and I brought it over to Reading a long time ago. It sounds great, but there's like rectifier problems with it, like at the end of the tour. So I was just like, I kind of just stuck with my ACS1 or borrowed an amp from the band that was opening for us. So
I guess of them.
Yeah, it's a good dude. His name's Angie. He had like this matchless Spitfire, I think.
Yeah, well, there's
Yeah.
a nice amp.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
He's not messing around.
Hey man, 6 set. Can I borrow your amp?
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. Well, I kind of wanted to pivot a little bit and talk about your guys' live shows, and maybe we could talk about, what are some of those shows that are the most memorable for you guys, and the like, yes, we are doing this, or one of the most excited exciting experiences that you guys have had on tour.
Yeah. I feel like I love touring. It's my favorite thing in the world. One of them. It's just a really cool experience. It's not glamorous. It is very tiring and hard, but for me, it feels very rewarding, and often like, this is so cheesy and I'm so sorry, but often we'll have early van or lobby calls and like 10-hour van drives. But even then I'm like, oh, this is really cool that like, not to like be like, we get to do this, but like, this is cool that like, this is a part of our lives. And like, I feel like all of that is just as meaningful and important to me as playing a show. And it's just really cool to hang with friends and like be a part of something and, work your way to get to the destination, which is the next show. And then you play the show, and then like, sometimes it's like amazing and like it's a packed room, and sometimes it's an empty room, and you still have to remind yourself that you're playing music that you made with your friends. in a completely different state that you've never been to, and people still showed up, even if it's 20 people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool to have that experience. And yeah, honestly, like the small shows are just as meaningful as the big shows. Obviously the big shows are a little more fun, but, yeah, it's all beautiful to me, and it's very fulfilling. And yeah, I love touring. I love everything that goes into a live show.
Yeah, it's your ministry.
Yeah.
If I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
enjoying the off times and in the relationship building in between, you know, the playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's good.
What about you, Cam?
Yeah, it's very similar. Regarding like memorable, I mean, like memorable shows, it's always good like when you have, luckily last year we had some like family and a lot of like old friends. Like we played a lot in the Midwest last year. So like Michigan, Wisconsin, like Cincinnati, like we got to see our families a lot, and then just friends. So I mean, yeah, I mean, people don't realize what, coming off of Adam, how much there is to touring outside of the show and soundcheck. Like that's like 3 hours of our day, to be honest, or 2 hours minimum. And the rest of it is just like working your butt off, like getting to places or just doing whatever. I mean, or at the hotel, or like, yeah, you just have a lot of downtime if you're not doing anything. Or it's just like setting up. Like on tour, it's kind of just, we would go to the venue, unpack the trailer, like, which would take about an hour and a half, and then do that every day. I mean, we had a few days off on tour, but like, yeah, I mean, it is memorable because people don't see that side of the band. And our front of house guy, like whoever's with us, like they think like, some people are like, oh, they have a whole crew, they have a whole like guitar techs and everything. But no, I mean, there's a whole process to touring, and yeah, it's tiring, but it is fun. At the end of the day, it's worth it. Like small show, big show, especially like the big shows, like if you feel alive and it feels amazing, but the small shows, you're just like, it's where it humbles you, and you're just like, you still got to do this, bro. Like there's a reason why, like 2 years ago, we would have thought we were touring anyway, like, or 3 years ago, I don't know how long, but yeah, I mean, every show is memorable in like good ways and bad ways, but yeah, luckily, at least recently, it's been more good, memorable, and yeah, man.
Anything that like sticks out in your mind, like you know, meeting a somebody that you've always kind of looked up to in the guitar realm, that you maybe got a chance to work with, or you know, a gear guy, to help you design a tone or something like that, that's been major success in your mind, like, oh,
Yeah,
man, I'm
Scott
on the
Mills.
right track.
Yeah, Scotty Mills from Colony House co-produced our last album. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, and alongside great, phenomenal guitar players. So having him work with Adam and I was so awesome, and yeah, work on guitar parts, and he played some like quite a few guitar parts on the record, like that wasn't Adam or I, and crushed. So yeah,
Sweet.
Yeah, that was cool. I feel like we learned a lot from him. He has a very less is more approach to certain parts, and yeah, it was really cool to learn that, and humbling in a lot of ways, because you know, you want to do what you want to do in your music, and sometimes what you want to do isn't the best for the song. So it's cool to have an outside perspective from someone that you look up to.
Kind of guide from the outside looking in, instead of thinking that you have all the answers. Yeah,
totally. It's also been really fun. Sorry to like piggybacking off your question. It's been really cool to work with David Hislop and Kenyon from Tone Factor. You know, looked up to David, for a couple of years, like before moving to Reading, and it's really cool to it's really cool to just hang out with him and talk gear, and both of them are very knowledgeable and they know their stuff, and it's just really cool it was a fun experience working with him to make some Helix presets, because I would never know how to do that and make them sound that good.
They're almost too knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Gosh. But it's their business, so I get it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but
it's their superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Well, just make it sound like a guitar. Like, geez.
That's also David and Kenyon have been really cool people to know and to hang out and work with. So
it's funny you mentioned Scotty Mills and Colony House and then the Helix. I think I watched that Helix stomp video you have up on YouTube, and I was like, I think he's playing a couple like Colony House riffs in this. So I remember sending it to Ryan. I was like, man, this is awesome. But speaking of working with Scotty and kind of like learning from him, when you guys are in the process of writing a song, coming up with riffs, licks, you name it, are there other influences you kind of feel like you're kind of drawn from that bag of licks in your mind when you're in that process?
A lot of, we all, maybe not all of us, but we love Kings of Leon as well. So just like that kind of like, it's guitar music. Like you don't really hear anything else in their music. It's just guitar music, and the way they come up with riffs and the way they approach it, and especially like playing as in the rhythm world, like they don't just play chords. Like they actually make the chords sound awesome. They pick it in a certain way, or they don't just make it the typical D shape. They'll do different stuff, so I think the way Kings of Leon work out their guitar parts is really cool. And yeah, Switchfoot as well. We were lucky enough to work with them on the record as well for two of this. Well, technically three songs, a couple years back. And yeah, their guitar stuff is amazing. So, Adam?
Yeah, I'd say for sure Kings of Leon is definitely something that I draw a lot of influence from when coming up with guitar parts. Pretty much, I don't know if you know the song Someday, but our song Someday is basically my, like, I think, I'm pretty sure I sat down and I was like, can I make the most Kings of Leon riff that I can? And that's what I came up with. And so, Kings of Leon, the Killers have been a huge influence. Switchfoot as well. James Duke, from like the old John Mark McMillan stuff, like has been a huge influence, and it's also been really cool to get to know him a little bit as well over the years. He's been really supportive of our band since the beginning, which has been really cool. So yeah,
it's really cool to see like the people Adam and I looked up to when we were 17, 18, maybe even earlier, and now like today, like we've probably met, at least personally, we've met like most of the guys that we looked up to, or talked to them and hung out with them. So there still is like a handful of guitar players or even producers that I want to meet, but one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since this interview went a little long, we decided to split it up into two parts. Part 2 will be released on February 14th, where we continue to discuss stories from the road and their collaborations with other artists in the recording process.
Yeah, and Adam talks about his new hobby of building pedals, and both of them discuss their future plans of touring in 2024. Make sure you listen to the end, and we break down all of our 2023 Spotify Wrapped results. Thanks for tuning in again.
Here's one of our favorite songs, I Don't Want to Live Like This, off Gable Price and Friends' latest release, The Consequences of Being Alive.
Throw out my premonitions, that noise is wasted time. Blame the human condition, we're trained to idolize. Hide your childish vision, for it will be vandalized. The fruits and flowers glisten under expensive lights. Throw a fit, pie your lips, sneak a kiss, shake your hips, frosted tips, middle kiss. I don't wanna live like this. I don't wanna live like this. I don't wanna end up bitter either way, so I'll take my Kool-Aid, microwave. Hey! I don't wanna fly high, sweet fascination, swing by but never stay. Most of us wouldn't be here if you remove the stage. Throw a fit, pout your lips, sneak a kiss, shake your hips, frosted tips, middle kiss. I don't wanna live like this. I don't wanna live like this. I don't wanna end up bitter either way, so I'll take my Kool-Aid, microwave. Hey! I don't wanna change my mind. Shake me till you make me listen. I won't put up a fight. Please be kind, I'm breaking, I'm in used condition. Truth don't make it alright. Change my mind, shake me till you make me listen. I won't put up a fight. Please be kind, I'm breaking, I'm in used conditions. Truth don't make it alright. I don't wanna live like this. I don't wanna live like this. I don't wanna end up bitter either way, so I'll take my Kool-Aid, microwave. Hey! I don't wanna end up bitter either way, so I'll take my Kool-Aid, microwave. Hey! I don't wanna, no, I don't